of like when I decided to go to vegetarian in college, they thought I was going to legitimately die. Like they're like, what do you mean you're going vegetarian? I'm like, I'm still eating eggs. What do you mean? This no chicken. No, you're going to die. Stop it. I was thrilled when you reached out to me because I've been a fan of your work, and it was so cool to meet you through, social media platform. I've never met you in person, but we had the most awesome chat this weekend, and it's going to be great to have a lot more eyes and ears on what we have to say today,
Absolutely. I feel the same way about you. I'm so impressed by you and been a fan of yours for so long, and I feel like our connection with food and cooking and our culture had brought us together, and it's just so beautiful. And I'm so glad to be finally speaking with you and hear about all your journey and how did you become a chef, and did you always like cooking? Was that something that you...
Yeah, well, I always used to cook when I was like, my mom was a control freak in the kitchen, so she really didn't let me get in her mix. So I branched off and started making more Americanized stuff that she wasn't familiar with, because I'm first generation. And so my parents didn't even know what brownies were or banana bread or any of that stuff that I was exposed to in grammar school, going to school, right? So I was like, I was making brownies and banana bread and all that stuff. And my mom was like, what is my daughter making? Like, what is this stuff? Like, where's the baklawa, the baklava? Where's the harissa? Where's all that stuff? So it started with that, with baking. And then as I got older, I took very huge interest in what my mom was doing. And I realized it was like cooking from the hip, no measurements. I'm like, how am I supposed to spread this to my kids and keep this going? And so that's how it started. And I'm not even like a professionally trained chef, though I have taken a zillion cooking classes. I can't even count how many I've taken. This is definitely an art that's learned generationally, because some of these recipes are literally 2,000 years old. And you're not going to find them at Schmo's cooking school. You're just not, you know what I mean? So that's really how it all started. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so you were also a journalist, right? Is that what you did?
Yes. Yeah. So I've been a journalist. I was a journalist for 15 years. I worked for ABC, and I did lots of things in journalism. So I did entertainment, where I was interviewing celebrities. And then I also did hardcore news, where I covered like the September 11 attacks out of a satellite truck in San Francisco. So I'm revealing my age, sort of, kind of, but not going to. But yeah, so despite all of that, I always found cooking was a source of, like, it was a stress release for me. It was a stress reliever. And so that's why I maintain cooking even throughout some of the most stressful periods throughout my life. And it's easier to deal with food than it is with celebrities. Believe it or not.
I bet.
Celebrities are so high maintenance, like, so there ain't nobody has time for that,
I know. I've worked with celebrities as well, so I can relate.
Yeah, you know what's up. Yeah, as a photographer, you know what's going on with celebrities. So
that's great.
So go ahead, Kinda. Sorry, I get
no. I mean, I'm just I'm kind of the same as you. I mean, I'm yes, I'm in photography right now, but right now I can't do photography. I'm in my kitchen cooking all day. So I am a full-time chef to my children, and I kind of use this time. I'm trying to use this time to learn everything that I thought was hard, and I was always intimidated by, training my mom or my grandma. Oh, it takes all day, Those are the things I'm trying to tackle right now and go after. Those are the recipes that I want to make in my kitchen. And so far, I've made falafel, I've made lahma b'ajin, I've made what else? I mean, I make pasta from scratch. I'm just kind of tackling everything that's like really, really time consuming and going after it.
That pasta from scratch had me drooling like crazy. What did you put with it? I was floored.
I put like 3 different kinds of peppers, and it's funny how this whole thing is making you think, because I opened my refrigerator and I saw that my peppers were getting a little soft. And the old me would have been like, oh, they're getting soft, let me toss it in the garbage. Very wasteful. And I had to think like my mom and how my grandparents or my grandma would think. What do I do with it before it goes really bad? So I
Right.
was like, okay, like what can I do with this? Maybe I need to puree it and then do something with it, right? So I was like, what if I put it in pasta? So I made 3 different colors of pasta, and I've actually put
Amazing.
the peppers in each one. And I also had some pesto that was going to expire, and I put that in there, and I had a green looking pasta, I had a red one, I had an orange one, and a yellow one.
Ah.
So it was actually a really neat project,
Oh, that sounds awesome. And you bring up a very good point, is that Arabs throughout history, now somebody else asked, where are we from? So you're Syrian? Are you
I am
Syrian
Syrian.
American?
Yes, I'm Syrian. I was actually born in Damascus.
Okay.
And I moved to the States when I was 13 and grew up in Chicago. So
Wow.
Chicago and now California. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm Palestinian American. I was born in California. So I'm, first generation, although Arabic was my first language. I did not learn English till first grade. But one thing I
Wow.
do remember growing up is that my parents always seemed prepared for an emergency simply because they lived in war situations, right? So I would always laugh at my parents, and I even did a video about this, about Middle Eastern parents, of how they always had 2 refrigerators and a freezer, like 1 in the kitchen, 2 in the garage,
Yep.
fully stocked, like
Fully
stacked.
stocked at any time.
Yeah.
They're good for 6 months.
Right? I'm like, Mom, why do you have tomato puree here from like 6 years ago? What are you doing? And you open up the refrigerator and everything attacks you. Like, I used to be so afraid to open my parents' refrigerator, right? But then when this quarantine happened, what did my sister and I do? We're like, oh, we're going to raid Mom and Dad's refrigerator because everything is all like psycho right now.
They've been ready for this. They've been ready for it. They've been preparing for it.
They have. And then also the stuff that we eat that's an integral part of our diet, it wasn't by accident, right? So when we have a lot of grains like bulgur wheat and frika and lentils and chickpeas, and we keep them stored either dry or canned, a lot of that sprouted, no pun intended, a lot of great recipes, like you mentioned, you made falafel with it. That came from like storing grains so that they could use it when they needed it the most,
Yes.
especially in a war-like situation. We are kind of like in a simulated wartime situation, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. It's an invisible enemy right now that we're fighting. And
Exactly.
we are, definitely, going through what our ancestors have gone through. Maybe it was a different enemy at the time, or a different situation, or even different viruses. But I almost feel like what's happening right now, I feel like the universe kind of like repeats itself, right?
Yeah.
And all these behaviors that we've always thought like, wow, how did my mom know how to do this? Or why is my mom so like not wasteful, right? Or well, how did my grandma know to use this instead of that? How did they learn all these behaviors? And it just made me think like, is it because their parents have gone through warlike situations or situations like this that caused them to be a little bit more resourceful, a little bit more, careful and not to waste food, and come up with new recipes in the kitchen that are not so, sometimes they call it peasant food, right? But it's because maybe meat wasn't available, only the beans were available. So, falafel and hummus were invented. I kind of, looking at this time, like the silver lining is the families coming together, eating at home.
Absolutely.
Maybe my kids, hopefully they'll see that mom is not being wasteful. She's trying to, come up with something to not throw this away or throw this vegetable away. Or
I mean, talk about being resourceful. You're absolutely right. My mom did not throw away anything. I mean, like you said, if there was something like a vegetable that was going bad, she'd make a sauce with it, puree it like you did. Or whatever it is. She even was resourceful with the containers, like the food containers that, like, let's say a cottage cheese container. My mom has like 18 cottage cheese containers that she uses as Tupperware. She's like, why buy the Tupperware? I have my own Tupperware,
That's right.
It comes from the store. I'm like, yeah, no joke.
I seriously, I love that, because I have a drawer filled with pasta jars, the glass pasta jars. I save those because, like, who needs mason jars? I have those.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, they figured it out. And like you said, we were just so out of tune. Living in an industrialized, fully developed country, we definitely lost sight of where our food comes from. And that's why I love farmers markets, because it's like my one thread between our food source and where it comes from, getting to know the farmers and what they do to take care of their produce and their meats and all of that. Like when you go to a supermarket, it's all sanitized. And when you get takeout, forget it. It's like you have the senses. You don't get the sensorial experience in your kitchen of making the food, of smelling it and all of that. That's tossed. That's tossed away. So it's kind of a bummer, you know, but we are reclaiming that right now. Like you said, there is a silver lining, you know?
There is definitely a silver lining. And I really feel like now we're kind of mastering these new recipes and learning, you know, I personally want to learn things that my family always made. We always go to Chicago in the summer and we always have my mom's food. So I never really had the, you know, a reason to kind of learn how to make the hard stuff.
Right.
But now that we can't go, I want my kids to have what Teta's food, and I'm trying to make it. And the nice thing is while I'm making it, it's kind of crazy. Like I'm looking at my hands, the way I'm peeling potatoes or I'm cutting. I see my mom, and it makes me feel like I'm with her. I feel like I'm with her.
You just gave me chills. Like, that's so cool. Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many times people have written to me and said, you know, I love when you have your mom on because she reminds me of my mom. And it's like, it really taps into the memory, you know, the childhood memory. So
absolutely.
Yeah, you're definitely being guided by her. You know what I mean?
I am. I feel it. And I was actually also very guided by her because I did have to call her on FaceTime and go through the whole mixing process of something. She was with me. She was with me virtually as well. But yeah, it's amazing how I just, you know, the smell of things, you know, when we're with people we love, you know, we hug them, we're near them. But now we're using our other senses to kind of be around them. Like I'm using like the sense of smell. Because I'm in the kitchen, you know, cutting, and I'm like, when I'm tasting the food, I'm reminded of my parents' house in Chicago, or
absolutely. You know, what really does it is the smell of grape leaves. Like the smell of grape leaves cooking instantly transports me to Palestine. Like in a blink, I'm like, I remember Sito's kitchen, and her making this after she picked the grape leaves from her garden. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely.
Like it's a time capsule. Like cooking is literally a time capsule. It's so cool.
It is. It is. I just picked up some green almonds today and some, we call it generic in Arabic, which is the sour plums and the green almonds. And those remind me of my childhood because they always come in season, and this is the season for them. It's like the middle of spring. And it's just, you know, eating them brings back so many memories, and it's just incredible.
It reminds me of my Cito, my grandfather. He used to buy bags of them because he lived in San Francisco. Let's face it, nothing grows in San Francisco. It's freezing and it's foggy. But he'd get a pack and he said, this is what we ate in Palestine, Blanche. And he'd put a ton of salt and we'd sit there and I'm like, look at the snacks that our grandparents ate, right?
Yes.
It's not hot Cheetos. It's freaking like, it's almonds. You know what I mean? Like almonds with the shells. You know, how healthy is that compared to
how healthy is that? Exactly. And this is why they live to be over 100, right?
They're all like, people get on my case so much, Habibti, when I tell them that I cook everything in olive oil. Like people send me hate mail. How dare you heat the olive oil in the pan? I'm like, listen, my 90-year-old grandmother, my 97, my 95-year-old aunt, they all did that. I'm just following in their footsteps. I'm not paying attention to any dogma of like what you can and can't do with olive oil. I'm cooking with the olive oil and I'm sticking to it. And if you want to use avocado oil, you go ahead and do that. Or whatever. I mean, they don't think twice about buying all these imitation fats, whether vegan or not. Like vegans buy all these imitation fats that are made with high omega-6 inflammatory seed oils that I would never put in my body. But then they wig out over me heating some olive oil. I'm like, come on, guys, we need to like prioritize here. You know?
Absolutely. And then, you know, like I know people are asking about olive oil. I think I've spoken with one of my good friends, Chef Adriana, who imports her olive oils from Spain. She actually visited she visited actual farms where they grow the olives, and she imports the olive oil directly from there. And I asked that question, like, hey, some people say it's not good. Some people say it's okay. And I remember she was saying that you really need a good olive oil that comes from one source, not multiple sources, and it's not mixed. It has to come from, like, it has to be pure, and that's the healthiest olive oil to get.
Absolutely. So that's very true. Yeah, that's why actually I'm in the works right now. I have a surprise for a lot of my viewers because I've gotten so much email about what kind of olive oil do you use. So I'm working now with olive oil farmers in Palestine, and it's
Oh,
called
wow.
Harvest Peace. And we're working to bring this olive oil to the United States. And not only that, people who watch the show Feast in the Middle East, I'm trying to secure a discount for them so that they can order and get the Palestinian olive oil to their home. Because one thing another people don't understand is that olive oil has medicinal properties, okay? It's got so many medicinal properties that other oils do not have. For example, some people drink cod liver oil. When my mom was a kid, my grandma would make her drink an ounce of olive oil, like an olive oil shot in the morning before her day started going to school to protect her from cold and flu. And it worked. My mom had a very healthy childhood. And so, and people use it as conditioner for their hair, and elixir for their skin, to keep their skin young. Olive oil to me is a miraculous oil. It cannot be replicated in any other form. It just can't.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely. I do love olive oil. No, it's great. I mean, I can't, people go through bottles of wine usually. Yes. Like they have bottles. I have bottles of olive oil in my, seriously, I don't even drink wine.
I don't drink wine either.
I have bottles of olive oil.
We're like
totally
olive oil.
I love it.
It's like the Arab girl's drink of choice.
Absolutely. I like taste it and za'atar. I put it on everything, and my tabbouleh, my fool, we're always eating olive oil
and
with
look
everything.
Look at how gorgeous your skin is, lady.
Oh,
look,
thank you.
Everybody, if you guys want to doubt how good olive oil works, look at her skin.
Oh, thank you. No. I promise no Botox. I've never done Botox in my life. It's just olive oil.
No, you don't need no Botox. And so speaking, what's cooking this week for you?
My next thing is yalanji. Yalanji in Syrian, which means it's the vegetarian grape leaves. So we call it yalanji.
Okay, so do you put like herbs and tomatoes and stuff? Do you do that with mint?
Yeah, it's almost like tabbouleh but without the burghul.
Oh,
so the mix is literally exactly like tabbouleh but without the burghul, and you put rice instead of burghul, and then you mix it up and then put it in there.
Oh, it's so
very lemony. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the more lemon the better.
The better, exactly. So I'll post about that.
Yeah, please do. I mean, I don't think it does. And people should, like, if they want to see what you're cooking as well, what is your Facebook group name if people want to join?
Oh, yeah. So basically 6 years ago, I started this group because I wanted inspiration on, different recipes. I'm alone here. I don't have my family around me. I need to cook for my kids. And so I started this group called What's for Dinner. It's on Facebook. I think the tag, it's What's for Dinner 24/7, 247 on Facebook. Cool. And it's a great place for, inspiration. People post recipes from all over the world. It's not just Middle Eastern recipes, but also, Italian, you've got Vietnamese, you've got like people from everywhere posting amazing recipes. And I've learned a lot from that group. So if anybody's interested to join, they're more than welcome. Was
there any kind of tradition that you remember, like your grandparents did, that that nobody really does today, that you just remember?
Actually I do. I remember my grandpa would bring just bags and bags of beans and fasulye and I remember just sitting as a kid, and they give me like a bag, and I'm just sitting there, like taking the beans out and putting them in Ziploc bags, and I don't think they were called Ziploc over there.
No, they didn't have Ziploc bags.
The Habibi version of Habibi bags. And we had a freezer. We had a freezer as big as like 2 refrigerators that was always in the back, and we would every bag was like for a tabkha, for a specific meal, and we would freeze all of that. But we weren't going through war at the time, but that was just part of life, because
that's how you do, right?
Fasulye or green beans only came around at a certain time of the year. So you buy a lot and then you prep it and you freeze it. So those are all behaviors and things that I remember as a child that my grandparents and my mom, over the generations have done. But I've never understood why. I'm like, why are they going to do that? And then when my mom would come and visit me, she'll open it. I'm like, Mama, just throw it away. Like, why? What? And she just makes a meal out of nothing in the refrigerator.
I know, it's crazy.
It's crazy. Like, how?
They make
totally. I'm like, how? I'm like, let's just take out. And she's like, no, batata with this. And she makes like this whole like massive meal. And I'm like, and then my husband's like, why don't you be like your mom? So that's my mission in life. I want to be like my mom.
Oh, you're well on your way, girl. You're making life like lasagna in 5 colors, and yeah, you're well on your way. I'm sure if she would be blown away by your noodles alone, I think, definitely.
You're so cute. Thank you. Thank you. I want to make her proud. I love her so much. And you know what? This is how I perceived love as a child. I mean, Arab moms, again, they love to feed their kids. Like, it's always like, eat, 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 you know? So
yes.
I felt like that's the way they showed us love, by food, by feeding us. And it's part of our culture, you know? It's part of our culture. We feed our friends. We're always, you know, making them food. Here, take, you know, even if you don't say I love you, by feeding someone, it's an invisible language of love, right?
It totally
You're feeding someone.
It totally is.
And,
I mean, to the extreme sometimes. Sometimes they could even take it too far, and you're just like, I'm about to bust a gut. This has to stop.
Seriously.
You know, like,
I'm never too, like, it's never like, oh, you've gained weight. It's always like, no, eat every time.
Right?
When your mom tells you that you've gained weight, it means you've gained a lot of weight.
Yeah,
so.
that means you've probably put on 30 pounds. If your mom tells you you've gained weight, it's 30 pounds, not 5, not 10. It's way beyond that.
Exactly. Absolutely.
They used to freak out when I'd lose weight. They'd freak out. They'd try to do everything they could to fatten me up. It drove me absolutely crazy. I'm like, you know how hard it's worked to get to this position.
Me too. I think my grandpa used to pay me money so I could eat when I was younger. I was so skinny.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, I didn't eat red meat. They would make up stories and tell me that I would fly if I eat chicken, and yeah.
Oh, that's
I swear.
You're so funny. You remind me of like when I decided to go to vegetarian in college, they thought I was going to legitimately die. Like they're like, what do you mean you're going vegetarian? I'm like, you know, I'm still eating eggs. What do you mean? No chicken. No, you're going to die. Stop it. And I was like, oh my God. So I'd have to like that's when I started like eating meals away from the family, like in college. I'm like, oh, I just ate at school. Leave me alone. I'm cool, you know. But what people don't understand is veganism in Arab culture is seen as fasting. So, and it is fasting. It's a way to detox your body. So whether you do it for Lent or whether people decide to go vegan for Ramadan, it's a fast for us. And, you know, I don't want to get into this because I don't want to make vegans angry because I love my vegans too. That's why I did like 3 recipes for them recently. But it's hard to, you know, it's ingrained in our culture and people don't understand that, especially with Arabs. Meat is God.
And then and the gluten too. Like, you know, how could I go gluten free if I love pita? Like, I love my pita bread. There's no gluten free pita bread. You know, how do we do that? So I tried what I've been doing recently is before this whole coronavirus thing happened, when we would come back from Europe, even Middle East, don't you notice that you can eat a lot of carbs and not feel like your stomach doesn't hurt?
Yes.
You don't feel bloated.
Why?
Okay, because their flour is better there. Their gluten is better there, right? So I was like, I'm going to do a little experiment. I'm going to buy flour from Europe. So I started buying flour from Europe, the 00 Caputo flour from Europe, and this is what I make my pasta with. This is what I've been making my lahma bajin with. So I have been using better flour to make all of my stuff.
Do you think
I think it's great.
Yeah,
absolutely. You don't have that full feeling that like sitting in your stomach. That heavy feeling, it feels great. So very light and fluffy, and I love it. So, but now it's nowhere to be found.
Okay, so I've been ordering. It's so funny. We think on the same level. It's unbelievable. So for me, I always thought, you know, France is pretty untainted with GMOs and toxins. They don't like spray pesticides the way they do in the United States. So I was going to a French purveyor to order my flour. Right? And so that's what I make a lot of my stuff with, and their flour is fantastic. But the problem is that the shipping takes so long and it is expensive. So I'm like looking for alternatives. If they can like sell, you know, Middle Eastern flour, that would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
It would be cool. But because right now it's like, you're right. There is truly something about the food here. It's not the same. Like I'll go to Palestine. Just every time I go, I eat all the bread, I eat all the kanafa, I lose 5 pounds in a blink of an eye, no problem. Without even
There's no process. There's nothing processed.
Nothing processed there, you know. Okay, I just see you ladies are a breath of fresh air. Keep up the great work representing our people with pride. That is so sweet. Thank you. Thank you. That's so kind of you.
That's so sweet. So nice.
Super sweet. Yeah, well, I might as well mention this. The reason why I was frustrated with with this is here. I have my cookbook here, the Feast in the Middle East book.
Yes.
It took me 10 years to write, specifically
Wow.
because I wanted to make things exactly the way my mother and my grandmother wanted to make it, and then test it and retest it. And I also wanted to make it easy. And people are like, why don't you like it when I buy your book from Amazon? And I'm like, it's because Jeff Bezos takes like 90% of this book. I mean, the guy isn't rich enough. He really screws authors over, and he takes 90% off. So I'm like, you know, just order it from my website. And right now, I just want to let you guys watching, this is like literally going to be over this weekend. If you guys are watching and you want the cookbook, go to feastinthemiddleeast.com. And if you use the promo code lockdown in caps, so LOCKDOWN, you get 20% off. I'm giving you guys 20% off. It's my secret code right now. If you guys are
I'm going to write it.
The cookbook. Yeah, lockdown, LOCKDOWN, feastinthemiddleeast.com, and it'll give you like the tabs that you could press to buy the book. Because frankly, I'm sick of Jeff Bezos, and I can't believe he's actually fired workers for wanting more safety precautions to protect themselves from coronavirus while they're working for him in the warehouse. And he goes and fires them. I'm like, come on, man. Like, you're worth billions of dollars. You can't afford some extra masks and gloves to protect your workers.
Yeah.
So he's just evil. He's just evil.
But no, I love the fact that you have this cookbook and people can, you know, relate to it. There's measurements, obviously, and, you know, we have American measurements in there, and people that love Middle Eastern food and like to cook it, that maybe they're not Middle Eastern, but they just fell in love with Middle Eastern food. They can relate to the book and recreate those recipes. So it's awesome.
Yeah, it's been really fun, especially when I get emails from like people saying, you know, I'm Mexican, I'm married to a Jordanian man, and now I'm cooking better than my mother-in-law. I'm like, hell yeah, that's great.
Fun. And you know, the Middle Eastern diet, the Mediterranean diet, is really the healthiest diet. There's been studies about it.
Oh yeah. Actually, it's the only diet that the Mayo Clinic can say is clinically proven to reduce cardiovascular disease. I mean, if that isn't compelling, I don't know what is. I mean, there are so many diets floating around there, but when you know that it's deeply rooted in science and I can just see anecdotally from my parents, my family, my extended family, how long they live. And you know, my 97-year-old grandma, she's sharp as a tack. She's not obese. She doesn't have any diseases to speak of. She does exercises in her bedroom still. And she's eating you know, like,
God bless her.
Yeah, it's cool. So I'm like, you know, that's all I need. I need, you know, Mayo Clinic is great, but it's also nice to have that anecdotal evidence from our extended families. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And like you said, you know, we do have meat dishes, but meat is not like the main ingredient. You know, we have meat, you know, in our dishes, but it's not like the superstar of the show. It's all
right.
Yeah. It's just there's a lot of beans.
And same with cheese. Like, we don't have a ton of cheese in our food, right? We have a sprinkle of feta or like a little bit of Lebanon or something like that, but it's not like the star of the food.
No, it's not. And you know, you think about it, if people are gluten-free and they can live without pita bread, really most of our food is gluten-free.
Yeah.
You know, kusa mahshi, I mean, everything really. They're all still vegetarian. You know, there's a lot of vegetarian, a lot of, you know, gluten-free dishes that don't have any, flour or wheat in it. So
absolutely, a lot of rice-based dishes, and people could use, you know, they could switch it up to different grains if they want, really high fiber grains. So I think we're doing okay, you know, after a few thousand years. I think we got a hang of it.
That's right. You're so cute.
Yeah. Another sweet comment. You both are amazing ladies. Thank you so much for God is Love. Yes, God is Love. And hi, Zena. And hi, Christelle.
That's Zena. That's my makeup artist. Hi, Zena.
No way, Zena.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Boy, I swear during this quarantine, there's so many times I'm like, you know, I don't even want to get up. I don't want to even put any makeup on or like wear. I kid you not. I think I've lasted most of this quarantine just wearing yoga pants every day.
Really? You know what? I have to say I did change today, and I tried to do my hair today for this. But
I think your hair looks fab. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I think I'm the only person during this quarantine that have ran out of eye makeup remover, because I wear my eyeliner every day. Every day.
I love that. Okay. There's something about Middle Eastern women. Some people give us crap for wearing liner, but for me, it's like I've been wearing eyeliner on my eyes since I was 16 years old. Okay,
Yeah.
winged. I learned to wing the
Me
eye.
too.
You know.
Yep. There you go.
Yep, there you go.
Yep.
It's the Middle
Yep.
Eastern eye. Don't you feel naked without it?
Absolutely.
Like,
It's part of me.
yes.
It's who I am. You know, the
Totally.
commercial Maybelline, maybe she's born with it. No, I was born with it in my hand. Like, literally, I got out and it was like, there's my eyeliner. Put it on quick.
We do it without even, like, you know, my friends that aren't Arab, they're like, how do you do that so fast? I'm like, you just have to go for it and be brave and just swipe that wing and just do it. You know,
Right.
it's just part. Yeah, it's so fun. It's so nice to hear that from you. I've gotten some flack from people like saying, I get so many different comments about makeup. Oh, that's too much. Oh, that's too little. And I'm like, you know what? To be honest, it depends on what I've done that day. Sometimes I go to work and I'll work up for a TV set and I've got my makeup on and I just keep it on and then I do my YouTube video. And they think that I, you know, spent all this time doing my own makeup. I'm like, no, I had it done by a makeup artist before my job and I'm not going to take it off and I'm going to do my work. You know, that's just the way it is.
It's you know what, whatever works for you, whatever works for some people don't like to put it on. That's great. But, you know, if it makes you feel good about yourself, and it definitely changes the way I feel about myself during the day. Like when I fix my hair and I put my eyeliner on, even though I'm only going from the bedroom to the kitchen, but it's, you know, it makes me happier. It makes me feel like maybe, I don't know, like when I'm happier, my kids are looking at me differently, right? Like they're like, oh, Mom is happy, or she's not feeling down about herself. Like, you know, have my glasses on, my hair is up. So I feel like taking care of yourself during this time, we shouldn't let go of it. We should really,
I agree.
Keep that up, you know. And then again, it's part of our culture. When I was younger, my mom would go to get groceries and she would have her high heels on and she would have her hair done and makeup and everything. It's just part of our culture that we grew up with. And
yeah, my mom is so glam, and she brought me up in this kind of glam environment. And like you know, when I first invited her to cook on set and she whipped out all these dresses, I'm like, Mom, this is really dressy. I'm going to have to dress up so that we look coordinated. And she's like, Blanche, you think they want to see people roll out of bed and just cook? We have to provide something extra, something nice to see. I'm like, okay, Mom. So like, we're making them jagara, and we've got the makeup and the hair and the outfits, and I'm like, this is just
she's got the sparkly top on.
all the bracelets, you know, the gold cuffs.
The gold.
You know,
my mom wears all her gold too. She's funny. She has like the big cross. I'm like, Mom, you look like a priest.
She's like a rapper. She's got like the big fat cross. Yeah. She's like.
Totally.
And people are like, Americans are like, that's so unsanitary. Like, how are you wearing all this stuff? And I'm like, it's an Arab thing, okay? It's just part of it. Just deal with it right now, you know? Like, this is just how we are. So that's how, you know, my mom stepped up my game, because like your mom, to go to church, to go shopping, she was always like coordinated outfits, coordinated shoes and pants and the makeup and the hair. And she's like, you never want to look like you just woke up, Blanche. It's very important. People judge you like this. I'm like, okay. All right, Mom. Point taken. Point taken. So yeah, I mean, it's been so wonderful chatting with you. I remember we met through our mutual love of food. And of course, our cultural backgrounds are so similar. And that's what's special about social media, guys. Is like, you know, everyone's out in their own homes doing their own thing. But at the end of the day, we can be connected through a phone. And that's a beautiful thing in and of itself that, you know, our parents never got to do when they were in a war situation. They didn't get to communicate with their cousins or friends via phone. They were isolated, you know, and long distance calls, forget it. They were super expensive. So, I mean, we have a lot of privileges that we definitely shouldn't overlook, and have a lot of gratitude for what we do have, like electricity and running water. I mean, people don't understand things can get so much worse. I mean, and if you want to imagine so much worse, Gaza is a prime example. They've been in quarantine for the past decade and they don't have electricity or viable means of drinking water. So we are so lucky. Truly,
we're very blessed.
So
we are very, very blessed. I mean, I remember, again, you know, growing up, when I grew up in Syria, you know, water would only be available at certain times of the day. Electricity will only be available certain times of the day. We had to like preserve water and save it to the side. And so I've lived through that. And again, I tell my kids every day, listen, like we have a warm bed, we have warm water, we can shower, we can sit on the couch and watch Netflix, we can be online. I mean, come on, like it really could be worse, you know, and we just have to count our blessing and make the best out of our situation right now. Learn something new.
Absolutely.
You know, like you said, cooking makes you happy. It takes the stress away. Then do that, or maybe reading is a stress
relief.
Relief for someone.
And I always say, you know, when people are complaining that they're waiting in line outside, yeah, it's a drag to wait outside to buy your groceries. But hey, at least you don't have bombs raining down on you while you're waiting in that line, right? You don't have to run for cover. I'm telling you, things could always get worse. So we got to like ride this out, and hopefully we'll see freedom very soon. And maybe this taste of, you know, how life can be without all of the amenities that we enjoy, it'll just make us appreciate it that much more, and hopefully be empathetic to people that are like experiencing stuff like this year round, no matter what, you know, no matter the circumstances.
Absolutely. Yeah, so it's really showing us what's important, you know, family, you know, all the material things, you know, clothes, you know, maybe eyeliner, but
eyeliner,
clothes.
It's the little things though, right? Eyeliner is like the little thing that keeps you sane, that keeps your identity intact. I mean, I haven't even thought about clothing shopping at all.
No,
I really haven't.
Not at all.
It hasn't even entered my mind. It's like, whatever. It's not, it's a non-essential. You know what I'm saying?
So I wonder if that will change later, you know, when we're back.
Yeah.
You know, I wonder if that will change, like, you know, to realize that these things just don't matter, you know, and what matters is really your family, you know, and the food that you're feeding your family,
right,
and the relationships that you're creating. Exactly.
If one thing I am grateful to is that this has brought people back to the kitchen with their loved ones, you know, and for me, that's always been my message throughout this show and this project. It's like being with your loved ones and spending time in the kitchen and keeping in touch with the food source that you get is a beautiful thing, and we should not lose that, because then you lose your identity and you get lost in this like industrial revolution, and we cease to be human. We almost become robots, you know what I mean? And it's really important to retain that humanity, that sort of like organic existence where you're in touch with all the wonderful people around us that are bringing that food to us. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We're getting really deep here, aren't we?
We are getting so deep.
It's very cool.
But it's such a great conversation, and I know we can go on for many hours talking about so many things. I feel like I've known you for all my life.
I know, right? I feel like I've known you, and I've still never met you in person. Tell you what, everybody that's watching right now, if you guys want like an encore of us to like discuss other topics, you know, give us a like, give us a comment so that we know, and we can revisit some other topics. So there's so much to talk about. You know,
absolutely, for sure. And I would love for you to mention your YouTube channel. I mean, I was a big fan of your YouTube channel before I even, you know, started following you on Facebook. I mean, that's how I kind of became connected to you. I love all your videos and all of your recipes.
Subscribe, it's free. You'll get all the videos as soon as I upload them. And I have several playlists. I have one vegan vegetarian. I have one main entree. I have one dessert. I have one about nutrition and fitness because I am a fitness instructor. I even have one for like my travels to the Middle East. If you've always wanted to visit, you could be an armchair tourist. This is the perfect time. And I'll take you on a tour of the Holy Land in various videos. So you guys can check those out as well.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. And I wanted everybody to meet you and you know, just know who you are. And please, everyone, follow her page, visit her YouTube, subscribe to her channel. She's amazing.
Thank you.
And then I'm going to go order my book today.
Thank you, Habibti. And if anyone needs spectacular photography, especially of like babies, oh my gosh, your baby photos just melt my heart. You need to look up Kinda in San Diego. If you guys are any of you expecting or having babies, or you just want gorgeous portraits, she's a master at what she does.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the love.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It's been fun hanging out with you guys.
Well, thank you, everyone. Blanche, thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.